Rookie minicamp is underway for the Buffalo Bills. It'll be running through tomorrow, and coverage of Bills rookie minicamp on WGR is presented by Figo Car & Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. Before the Bills got on the field today, they did announce all but 3 draft picks have signed their 4-year rookie deals. Max Hairston, TJ Sanders, and Deion Walker are the only ones left to sign their deals. And the team also announced this year's undrafted free agent class with 12 players. We'll get more on today when Sal Capaccio joins the show at 4 p.m. 2 games for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Game 3 of Toronto, Florida, down in the Sunshine State. Game time at 7, and the Maple Leafs lead that series 2-0. Then at 9:30, Winnipeg hosts Dallas for Game 2. Still no Miro Heiskanen for the Stars, but they did take Game 1. Tonight, again, is going to get going at 9:30. Also 2 games in the NBA. Game 3 of Pacers-Cavs. Indiana leads 2-0. They host tonight. Potentially, though, good news for Cleveland. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter all present at morning shoot-around, and all 3 are questionable. Game time at 7:30. Then at 10, Game 3 of Nuggets-Thunder in Denver. Series all tied up at 1. And the Bisons, they are also in action tonight against the Saints in Minnesota. First pitch just after 7:30. You can listen to that over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
My dad's not here right now. He's still at work. So I'm going to blast him.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm going to see if there's a clean version so that my parents and the people at my school will not get mad at me. We've got the spritzer filled with water, just in case if stuff gets too fire. I'm going to set up the speaker, and I'm going to listen to
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I think this is the best
Mike Schopp
feature that I've heard in a long time. I think his flow is really good in it, and I like his aggressiveness on it. And
the Bulldog
put not enough effort in it. I think overall his flow was good, but I don't like that mobile rapping. That was my review of
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Didn't need the spritzer. Wasn't fire enough. No spritzer for you. No spritzer.
Welcome. Happy Friday. Numbers seem to be the rage today in football.
As rookies are taking part in mini camps,
yes.
And so they've been assigned some jerseys. Yeah,
rookies are showing up and they're getting numbers, or they're choosing numbers. There've been some fun ones, I think. I know Dan Leberfeld was all grumpy about numbers recently, saying how, when did people start caring about this? Oh, I'm sorry, I like numbers. I like jersey numbers. I think Sal and I talked about this last Friday, how with receivers, here he goes again, receivers. With receivers, the big numbers can make you feel slow or look slow. Like T. Higgins wears 85, and that used to be cool. Maybe it'll be cool again because now everybody's going to 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
So here's 85 lumbering along. You know?
What are you, a tight end?
What are you, a tight end?
Wearing 85.
Luther Burden, the player I wanted for the Bills in the first round, went to Chicago early second. He's got 87. And his quote is, why 87? All the good numbers are gone.
Well, kids, don't ask for Luther Burden jerseys for your birthday or
That's
for
right.
Christmas, because the
it.
first chance he gets, he's going to something in the teens.
There's got to be some Nick Westbrook-Akini type in that wide receiver room over there that will not make the team, and then Burden can swoop in
right.
at whatever number. He's on Miami, but somebody like that's just sort of taking up a locker.
Yeah.
Mason Taylor with the Jets rookie tight end, the son of Jason Taylor, is wearing number 46. Imagine a weirder choice for a tight end than 46.
Is he hoping to become a blocking sled? Is that his career aspiration? Because 46 on a tight end, to me, sounds like you are the new Alec Anderson. You are being brought in. I guess if you have the number, you don't have to report, but whatever. You are, you're Lee Smith.
Yeah, you're kind of Lee Smith. Do you know why he's wearing 46? Don't think too hard on this one.
Well, it can't be. I was. His father wore 99, didn't he?
I think that's right.
So I was. There's no half of that. So I don't
What about
know.
his uncle?
I don't know who his uncle is.
54, I think. Zach Thomas.
Oh, okay.
54?
Yes, he definitely wore 54.
99 minus 54 is 45.
Darn it! Doesn't work.
Mason Taylor says he's wearing number 46 because it's the number they gave him.
Okay, that's respectable.
Is that like an Eichel situation where they gave him 41? We couldn't all see through that the first minute.
Right.
Oh, really? Is this a tryout?
That's a tremendous memory. I would not have, unprompted by your recollection, remembered that he was assigned that number, like that first rookie camp or whatever the heck it was.
41.
Yeah.
And, he didn't have to buy up all the 41 jerseys or the 15s.
Yeah, as it turned out. Right.
Matthew Golden, Green Bay. You know this one?
I do not. I've not. I've seen some of this. I saw the Giants. But I've seen a bunch, but I didn't make notes. Matthew Golden,
The fastest player at the Combine. Arguably, a little bit controversial his time, but still got him drafted in the first round.
I don't have my hands around their receiving core well enough to know what's available.
Let me try. Romeo Doubs is 87.
Okay.
Jaden Reed is 11.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
Christian Watson is maybe like 9.
It's a single digit or teens or something. It's a low number.
And Dontavian Wicks, I don't know.
Matthew Golden's wearing number 1.
Matthew Golden is wearing number 22.
Huh.
What a choice.
Yeah. What did he wear in college, Zach? Why do I have 23?
He wore 2 at Texas.
2, okay, just a single digit. Okay.
He's wearing this is a fast wide receiver.
22. Well, if he can't, maybe he couldn't get 2, so he doubled.
He's wearing 22 because that's the number of teams that didn't pick him. Which, we were supposed to draft you over Travis Hunter. that offends you that you were drafted over, Genty?
Listen, I don't need us to get a text or it would be great if we got a call live on the air from our friend Thurman Thomas, talking about using that sort of scorn as fuel and being skeptical about it. I'm going to allow Matthew Golden to use whatever he needs to. He didn't drop out of the first round entirely like Thurman did, but I like this player.
See, here we go.
So go for it, dude.
Thurman. It's one thing to have the motivation. Thurman had the self-respect to not pick 39 because 39 teams, including his own,
right,
didn't choose him, or 33 because 28 teams. I don't even care. He wore 34, I think, because of Campbell.
Earl Campbell, I believe that's right. Yeah.
So I'm going to be mad about this, but I'm not going to sacrifice my jersey number for it. Matthew Golden, that's taking it pretty seriously. So I went through thinking about numbers.
I think I like 22 on a wide receiver.
Bob Hayes.
Yeah, works.
Hey, can you think of another one?
No. That's why I like it.
Has the show ever sounded older?
To me, 22 doesn't strike me. Well, certainly Bob Hayes. It does not strike me as a slow number. It's one of the. He was like an Olympic 100-yard dash champion.
That was his brand.
Has the show ever sounded older?
Did he win, or he was an Olympian?
He was an Olympian. I don't know if he won gold or not. We can
Bullet Bob
Google
Hayes.
that part. I have an inkling that he did.
Maybe he did.
I feel like Olympic champion was on that resume.
He won gold in the 64 Olympics.
All right. So 22. That feels like a fast number to me.
22 is Emmitt Smith, right?
Sure.
It was probably faster than I think.
That probably is the ranking 22.
The ranking 22. Like right now, who's 22 in the NFL? It'd be like a DB.
Yeah.
Or running back.
Right. Fred Jackson comes to mind.
Fred Jackson.
Not known as a burner.
No, but he was good.
But he was good. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thinking about quarterbacks and numbers, And I'm going through in my mind, and I went a long time, starting with Allen, before I got to a double. Like, Allen wears 17. No other starting quarterback in the NFL wears 17, I believe.
Really? Boy, I haven't thought about that.
I think he's the only one.
Huh.
There might be a guy, like sort of a guy who's in and out, a Minshew type maybe.
Right.
But, like, no. I did this for the whole league today, and that's why I wasn't on my mower. And I've got, like, 22 quarterbacks who are, like, in. I think there are a few others like Darnold. Well, he's in, but a few others who are either like a Rodgers who's not like announced yet, or somebody whose number I just don't know on their new team. Mm-hmm. Geno Smith wore 7 in Seattle. Darnold wore 14. Mm-hmm. I think everywhere he's been, he wore 14.
I think that's right.
But I don't know about with Seattle if he will do that. Maybe.
Yeah.
But of all the guys that I got to, Allen is the only 17.
What number does Purdy wear?
13.
13. Okay.
He is the only 13.
Well, it's unlucky.
Of like the regulars.
Yeah.
Mahomes, 15. That's the only 15. Starting quarterbacks, like established starting quarterbacks in the league.
Are guys picking their numbers like that?
I don't know. No. I mean,
right?
Allen didn't.
No, he wore 17 in college. So
I don't know how it started there.
It's funny that I would have never thought that. Like if you had just said, without prefacing it at all, how many repeat numbers do you think there are in the NFL amongst starting quarterbacks? I probably would have said half a dozen or more.
Half a dozen,
like half a dozen that are repeat. Like there's 3 guys that wear 12. There's 2 guys that wear 16. Whatever. Like there would have been a handful of dudes.
12 was the number when we were kids.
Yeah.
I can't think of a starting quarterback last year that wore 12. There might be one. Rodgers went to 8. There might be one that's another one of these fringe guys. I think there's a good chance there is. I'm trying to keep saying that because I didn't make a complete study here. There are 2 numbers.
Brady ruined 12.
Brady ruined 12?
Nobody else wants to wear 12 now.
Because you're compared with him?
Yeah.
I love when I watch my daughter play hockey. Like, there'll be an 87, there'll be a 97, and, like, just instantly they're playing right now. You're playing a new team. Watch out for 97.
Right.
Watch out for 87.
They don't give those jerseys to fourth liners.
You'd better be good.
Right.
If you choose 97 in hockey as a kid right now and you can't, like, dominate, badge change. Yeah. I think get out of it.
That's why when I played, I wore the symbol for empty set, 0 with the line through it.
The line.
I don't want to get anybody's hopes up.
Right.
Like, look out for Nullstadt over here.
That's funny. I've got 2 numbers where I've got 4 players. 2 numbers, 4 starting quarterbacks. I think Allen is the only 17. I have Mahomes as the only 15. We have Purdy as the only 13. Lamar Jackson is the only 8.
Okay.
Prescott is the only number 4. But I've got 2 numbers with 4 guys and 1 number with 3.
I'm going to guess that 10 is one of these repeats.
10 is correct. 4 players.
Drake May's wearing 10?
Mm-hmm. Didn't Mac Jones also wear 10?
Yes, he did. Tells you how much Drake May really liked the number because you're the next guy up, right? Not sequentially exactly, but like you're the next new guy, the new hope. And like, no, I'm wearing 10. I don't care if the last guy washed out in 10. 10's my number.
10.
So, okay.
Great choice.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah,
10 is 10.
10's 10.
10 out of 10.
10 looks good.
10 looks good.
Let's see. Who else is wearing 10?
It's just small enough to be double digits.
Like starting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No doubt about it.
Okay.
And not rookies.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jordan Love wears 10.
Jordan Love is right.
All right. And, oh, man, I just watched highlights of this guy today, and now I can't remember what number he was wearing. Penix doesn't wear 10, does he?
9.
Okay.
I think. That's what I wrote down. Hopefully.
All right, who's the other 10?
Justin Herbert.
Man, I looked at the Chargers and thought of him and thought he's not 10.
I can't even really see it.
No, me
on
either.
him.
I thought about him and went, yeah, no, that's like a 7 or a 6 or something.
Is it because those numbers on the Chargers are kind of like slanted? Or is that not right either? I don't know. Justin Herbert and Bo Nix.
Oh, Nix was...
And I can't see that either.
Yeah.
I didn't watch enough of him.
I totally can see that.
Okay.
Because the zeros are so perfectly round. It seems like on Denver, like they're not as narrow as other numbers.
Is that right?
It's more of a bulbous zero.
It's more of a bulbous zero. Just entering a league right now as the bulbous zeros. Let me see if I can get this team going here. We're on the clock. Bulbous zeros are on the clock.
Oh, it's
one other number.
quarter after 3, and I've got my head in my hands already.
4 guys.
All right, I sorry, I got lost.
Including 2 that faced each other in a Super Bowl.
Man, I was not ready for all this.
I'm sorry.
What am I looking for now? We settled 10.
There are 4 starting quarterbacks who wear 10. There's another number where 4 starting quarterbacks wear this number, including 2 that faced each other in a Super Bowl.
This is going to be 9?
9, right.
Stafford and who
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Isn't he 9?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Also Penix and Bryce Young.
Bryce Young wears 9.
I didn't have that one either. I can't see it. I can't see Bryce Young in number 9, but yes.
I do now. I got it. Yep, I got it. Justin Fields wore 2.
Justin Fields wore 2 for the Steelers and 1 for the Bears.
So he's going to wear 3 for the Jets.
3 for the Jets.
All right, that makes sense.
I'm wondering about that.
I don't really know that. Okay.
I don't have anybody else wearing number 2 among starting quarterbacks, but I do have 3 ones.
Tua wears 1.
Oh, that's 4. That's right. 4 then. I forgot about him. I meant to check him because I was only like 90% sure, and I just never did.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Now I can see Bryce Young in that number now, but I thought he wore 1 too. But he doesn't. Anybody who's 101, I think, like has a claim to, I'm gonna wear jersey number 1.
But that's another one where I'd want to be careful.
Yeah. So Tua is a 1. Kyler Murray is a 1.
Mm-hmm.
Also
think so.
a 101.
That's right.
Right. What number is Jaden Daniels rocking? He's not wearing 1.
5.
5. Okay.
He and Anthony Richardson are the 5s.
Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts wears 1.
Jalen Hurts. And also Cam Ward will wear number 1.
Okay.
Warren Moon gave him permission to wear that number. What do you think of that? That was a little weird because he never played for Tennessee.
Yes, that's a thing. I mostly think that if you have had a career that resulted in the team you played with most prominently retiring your number, that any incoming player, regardless of, you play 6 years of college football and have a U-Haul trailer full of Heisman trophies. You don't show up and ask for the number that is retired. Not only do you not ask, you don't, because I think the story with Ward more was Moon offered. And I think what you do is you say no. I think you say, no, thank you. You're a legend. I'm a new guy. I mean, no, I don't want you to just have to assign me a number like I'm a nobody. I am the first pick of the draft. But, I'll wear 4, whatever. You're Warren Moon.
I don't know if he knew who Warren Moon was.
Well, all the same. Just stay out of the way, to me. Like, I think you should have the respect to be deferential about that. Even in this case, I think if I've got the story right, like preemptively, whatever. It's offered? No, thanks.
So then,
I don't need Abdul Carter asking if you can wear LT's number. Dude.
And he's not, right?
No, he's not. No. But, no.
Did he pick 51?
51 is what he went with, yeah.
What's that about?
I don't know. I think he had a choice between 51 and 58.
Or 99?
Or something. I don't know. And there was some joke I saw earlier today that he chose the faster of the two numbers.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think you should get a retired guy's number ever.
So when Ward is done playing, does the number go back to being retired, or do they share it? Does it matter? It does matter if he's great. I mean,
I suppose if he's incredible and wins the Super Bowl for the Tennessee Titans, that 15 years from now they have if they have these things displayed somewhere, that his jersey would be next to Moon's with the number 1, and then they would retire them both permanently until they draft another quarterback 101. 5 years from then, and both Moon, if he's still with us, and Cam Ward agree to let the new guy wear 1, which I would also disagree with.
Is this a thing that would have an official designation? Like, is the number now unretired? Like, officially unretired? I mean, someone else is going to be wearing it, so it would seem like it's that, but I don't know if this is a category where there's like a home office. The NFL itself sort of keeps records. I think they probably do. But what happened? What is this now? What is this one? Is this just like it never happened? I don't know. Other quarterbacks that have the number to themselves, Baker Mayfield, 6. I didn't check that one, but I think it's right.
That sounds right to me.
Well, as of today, Tyler Shuck is going to take 6, and Jackson Dart is wearing 6 as well.
Okay.
New 6s.
Yes. Let me just write those in because I don't forget them. Dart and Shuck. Great.
6 seems like a tough. I like the single-digit numbers. 6 just seems to me. I'm too much of a hockey guy. 6 seems to me like a crease-clearing, cross-check you in the mouth defenseman to me.
Really?
Not a quarterback.
For me, it's a center. Although I don't know who's the best 6 in hockey ever. There's got to be a few of them.
Yeah.
They were pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Dr. J was number 6.
Yeah.
For the Sixers.
That works.
Sixers.
I get it.
See, good thing he was great.
Yeah.
See, I'm 6 on the Sixers.
I'm thinking of Schoenfeld with 6.
Oh, yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's why I had the mean defenseman thing in my head.
And he also wore 13.
Yeah, when he came back second time around.
Was it 13? I think it was.
Yes.
Why didn't he get 6 back?
Because Phil Housley had it, maybe.
Okay.
By then.
I wonder if they discussed it.
They fought with razors.
Did Schoenfeld ever coach the Sabres?
Nobody likes to talk about that story.
Was he ever the head coach of the Sabres?
Shawnee?
Yeah. Housley was.
I don't think so, yes. Craig Ramsey had like a few games under Bowman, I think, at one point. Really?
He wasn't. He was. Schoenfeld was the head coach of the Sabres for half a season.
Does that line up? Ramsey, he wouldn't have been still playing when Bowman was here? I feel like Ramsey had a cup of coffee, but Shawnee did too. All right.
85-86 in a year where Bowman also coached them, so maybe he was the person to replace Bowman.
Okay.
5-6. All right.
Some numbers.
Some numbers. Jared Goff, 16?
Yes.
He's the only one, I think. Like, again.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm doing this. Well,
I believe Trevor Lawrence is also 16.
Oh, I never thought of him.
Oh, good job, Zach. Good. Thank you.
Trevor, the prince who was promised, Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, 16. That sounds right. So 2 16s. Good. I knew I didn't have them all. Maybe I shouldn't have.
Maybe you should have
brought it up.
Maybe you should have cut the grass.
You should have cut the grass again. Yes.
Even if it was not complete, I'm pleased with your work here.
Yeah, and maybe there'll be a few others that roll in.
Right. After the deadline.
Yeah, right.
The fax machine.
The fax was sent. Sam Panayotovich next. We'll talk to Sal at 4, rookie minicamp. Rookie Bills on the field. And it seemed like a lot of them you only have a few draft picks, but then the undrafted guys and some other ones brought in.
Different holdover practice squad guys that were here last year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, we have plans to talk to Bandits star Josh Byrne later today. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, back with Sammy P. next on WGR. Find it. Just go to my look. This won't be hard. Just search it. Just like, hello, phone. Where is Mighty Ducks Game Changers? Like Disney Plus. Great. Look how easy that was. Go to Disney Plus. Not there. Only the trailer.
Oh boy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All the other Mighty Ducks things are there. The
one
show
thing
has
she
never
wants-
sounded older.
Yeah,
The show has
I know.
The best. Now I'm going to get defensive. Just point out that my daughter is 13. All right. I mean, I can't be that old if I'm not Larry King. Now the show really sounds old. Who's that? Seattle. Has the show ever sounded older? Seattle in the NBA Finals.
Minus.
I like this point. F minus to me seems like just, like a cartoon.
Right.
Not a real. F is the lowest.
Yeah, it was like Bugs Bunny, the teacher. Like, what are we doing here?
F minus.
The show ever sounded older.
The Bengals food.
See, kids, Bugs Bunny was a cartoon character.
But
I did see the Scouts play in Buffalo. Yeah, I saw a Kansas City Scouts game. As the show ever sounded older.
Well, I'm going to be mad about this, but I'm not going to sacrifice my jersey number for it. Matthew Golden, that's taking it pretty seriously. So I went through thinking about numbers.
I think I like 22 on a wide receiver.
Bob Hayes.
Yeah, works.
Hey, can you think of another one?
No. That's why I like it. Has
the show ever sounded older?
To me, 22 doesn't strike me. Well, I mean, certainly Bob Hayes. It does not strike me as a slow number. It's one of the. He was like an Olympic 100-yard dash champion.
That
right?
was his brand.
Has the show ever sounded older?
some, I'm taking mental reps when I watch D Strong, and hearing him go out there, play with poise and play like he's already adjusted, like that was good to see. And that's definitely somebody that, we just got done doing a couple of extra reps outside, just somebody that, we're going to lean on each other and help each other get through this process.
Let's go. Rookie minicamp. Mental reps, extra reps. Max Hairston will talk to Sal about the day's events as we continue today. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here on a sunny Friday. Do you have action on USA Denmark?
I do not.
Congratulations on that.
I do not. I didn't even think to go looking to see if I could find it.
Well, you're maturing.
I guess, yeah. I do have. I'm all set for tonight and tomorrow in the NHL, though.
Joining us now, the man that brought you Rum Hams and DK Horse, the host of Bet Sweats, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, Sam Panayotovich. Insider calls presented by BetMGM. Check out the latest lines today on the BetMGM app, and be sure to catch Bet Sweats weekdays from 9 to noon on the BetMGM network, which you can find on the Odyssey app and the Bet 1520. Sam, how are you?
Oh. Boys, happy Friday. Would you rather we start with odds on me against 3 adult wild turkeys or 100 men against a gorilla?
I want to get there. I just want to hit pause for 1 second, though. International hockey, Mike just mentioned. I felt like my first breakthrough with Joe Ostrowski, when we were getting to know him when he was first coming on our show, was during the last Olympics. I had a very close friend of mine whose son lives in China and was like a pretty good hockey player when he was in his teens playing here in Canada. And he was like on the fringe of making the Chinese team. And my friend told me that, so like, just whatever the numbers are, USA, China in hockey, just don't worry. Just lay minus 4.5, don't worry about it. Just lay it. And we had so much fun with Joe joking about how I knew I had an in on Chinese hockey.
You won, but I thought you were lucky because it really wasn't that kind of game.
It wasn't as much of a blowout as,
no,
but it did cover.
But it did on the scoreboard turn into one, yes.
Right.
So there you are.
Looks
Sam.
like I got a line for you. I always got a line for you. USA 3-0 on Denmark, and the live line is minus 3.5.
Wow.
What do you want to do with that?
Still got a whole other period to go, don't we? It's only the second period.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not even over yet.
You hear Mike Joneson over there? What do you like? I haven't watched the play, Mike.
That seems like you should jump on it. It seems like you should jump on it.
Play them to outscore Denmark by 1 in almost half a game. That's the side I would take.
Yeah.
USA is the side I would take.
Yeah, that seems like
Sam,
doable.
What is the turkeys about? What is going on with the turkeys in your driveway?
I don't know what happened. I had to run to the UPS or USPS mailbox on the corner. It's like 50 feet from me. And I had to drop it in by 1 o'clock. So I bust out the door after my show with this card, and I turn the corner. Oh, there's a pep in my step. I'm all excited. I'm going to get some steps in. And I look up, and there's 3 wild turkeys staring at me. And these things are probably, I don't know, guys, like 30 or 40 pounds, and there's 3 of them.
They looked hardy. Like they were positioned in a driveway, and they obscured the car well enough to be sizable, I would say.
And then if you look at that picture, and I appreciate you, Bulldog, tweeting it out, there's a baby turkey behind them. So it gets really parental. And I don't have camera footage, but I wish I had it because I pivoted and ran right back in the house.
Do you have what you would call yet a situation?
They're gone, but they're always around, man. Like I remember one time I had to get a baseball bat and go out there because I was barbecuing. And they can smell the warm food that's been smoking for 14 hours or whatever, and then they're hovering around. Is it good? Is it one of their cousins? They don't know. So, and then they're all hoarding around my smoker. So that now I got to chase you out because I'm hungry.
And the bat was effective in that? You don't have to answer that. I don't think I want to know.
No turkeys were harmed in this operation, Sam. We'll just cover us that way.
Let's hope.
Not yet.
Yeah. So this is not an uncommon occurrence then. These turkeys like showing up in your driveway. Like they're around in your neighborhood. It's a common nuisance in your neighborhood, I take it.
Which you wouldn't think because I live 10 minutes from downtown Boston. But yes, the turkeys are plentiful around this part of the town.
Sam, are you loving these playoffs, NBA and even NHL?
They're exciting. I mean, we always want close games, especially after a pretty boring first round where we had to watch teams like the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic. Bad basketball first round. Second round, a bunch of upsets. I mean, what's not to like if you're a casual observer watching three teams that all won 60 games blow a combined 5 games where they led by 20 and lost? That's high-level theater, right? It also, guys, and I talked about this, Joe and I talked about this all morning, we have a big bet on Boston to win this series. It provides opportunity. And, Mike, you and I talked about this a little bit last week about seeing what happens in Game 1. Mm-hmm. Boston's minus 115 to win the series. They were minus 900 before the series. That's the definition of a bargain, guys. And eventually they're going to shoot better than 25% from three. They also, which nobody talks about, they were so much better on the road this year. They beat really good teams on the road. At home, they're kind of flaky. They're not really interested. You're going to get their A game on Saturday. I think they're going to win, and then what does the price do? It goes from minus 110 to minus 200, and now you're in a good spot. So we bet it pretty nice, Celtics to advance and beat the Knicks.
So what you're watching doesn't really deter you. You still feel good.
I do. They're healthy. They're just missing shots. Now, another argument is, well, it's a small sample size and it could happen. I get it, but they're just too talented, man. They have so many good players, and I know they're down 0-2, but they were also killing them in both games. So now that you kind of woke them up, like the smelling salt moment, they're the champs, guys. And if they're going to be a team that wants to contend for another one, they got to show up on Saturday. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think they're going to go in there and blow the Knicks out. But, hey, that's why they play the games. I could be totally wrong on this.
How do you feel about the other series in the East where, again, the big team is down 2-0?
I just wish they were healthy, Bulldog. I don't know what's going on there. Now, it got bet up. I was up late, as I often am. At 1:30 in the morning, this morning, somebody blasted Cleveland. It was 2.5. Now it's 5.5.
Yeah.
So it moved overnight, which is usually from a sharp bettor that knows what he's doing or what she's doing, and it's with conviction or information. And the two guys that are rumored, Mobley and Garland, did not play in Game 2. If they're both playing tonight, that explains the move. But I texted a guy close to the Cavs, covers the team. He said, we don't know if these guys are healthy. Sure, they can play, but if they're not healthy, it might not matter. And that's the issue I have with making a stance on the Cavs. I'm not there. I don't see it. I don't know if they're healthy, and they very well could not be.
This late-night betting corollary runs counter to my theory about the same kind of thing in fantasy football, which is that you want to be in like the midnight drafts because people drink and fall asleep. I have a friend who's notorious for falling asleep in late-night drafts. It's good intentions. You want to jump in there and try to take advantage of a softer room, but it often backfires. In this case, Vegas is on the West Coast. Maybe it runs the other way.
It could, but those are bets. Those are mostly offshore bets. Those are in, like sports books like Pinnacle and Chris down in like Costa Rica, Panama. Like that's where, that's a different combo for a different day. That's where the big money is bet. Okay. It's not in the States. It's not in Nevada. It's offshore for sure.
And it doesn't take you 2 hours to do it like it would a fantasy draft, where you have to just sort of hang in there for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Sam Panayotovich with us. Thoughts on the hockey playoffs? We talked to Greg Wyshynski yesterday a little bit about the odds, and he said he thinks before Edmonton's win last night even, that a Canadian team winning would be more likely than not.
Wow, okay. So he's obviously really high on Toronto, which I guess makes sense. They're up 2-0, although series price is pretty interesting.
You see tonight, Florida is minus 230, down 0-2 at home.
Yeah, they're probably going to win. They're probably going to win. They should. Toronto too. Think about this for context. So Toronto and Edmonton are both up 2-0. Toronto's minus 215 to win the series. Edmonton's minus 500 or higher. So it kind of tells you how the market feels. Now, Edmonton is going home and Toronto's on the road, so a little different there. But that's a drastic gap. That's a $3 gap in price.
And Toronto has a history that is hanging around their necks like an anchor of the first sign of adversity they're going to fold. I think this series so far and these playoffs in general have shown that they're not as susceptible to that as usual. They were nails buttoned up here with 2 1-goal leads in these first 2 games, and there didn't seem like any sort of flurry or panic. It was pretty just level-headed. So, but their reputation, I think, is different than Edmonton's, even though Edmonton hasn't won anything in a long, long time either.
I hadn't even thought about this, but as you were talking, I made a very easy correlation between the Celtics and the Panthers. Like, they're both the champs. They're both down 2-0, but they've also been here before. So if Florida can turn it on, hell yeah, they can win the series. And let me just give you a bet from a buddy I really respect. This isn't my bet, it's his bet. And when he bets, I bet, if that makes any sense. Like, I follow. He sent me a ticket. It was $10,000 on Carolina to win the series at plus 190. So it's a $10,000 bet to win $19,000.
When would that have been made?
Today.
Plus 190?
Yeah.
That series
not Carolina, on Florida. I'm
Florida,
sorry.
thank you.
Florida,
Right,
okay.
yeah. Carolina and Washington are tied 1-1. Yeah, okay.
Carolina is probably favored.
I got blinking lights in front of my face. It never ends. He bet $10,000 on Florida down 2-0 to beat Toronto. My bad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I went a long time thinking they were the same franchise, actually.
Florida and Carolina.
Yeah, kind of around the same.
Reddish.
Half empty crowds. Not anymore. Sam, are you up for a NFL question that we haven't discussed, just out of left field?
Always.
Who's a bad, if you can find one, who's a bad NFL team that might actually be good? I'll just give you a minute by mentioning the Giants here. I mean, the Giants have been an easy mark for a long time, but similar to how the Jets have been talked about, and that didn't work out last couple of years, but the good roster, like with the high picks they've assembled, especially on defense, then you have Malik Neighbors. If quarterback is competent, can you not see sort of a decent team there? Maybe, I don't know. With these, you really kind of have to stretch a little bit.
So I don't trust the Giants. I don't think it's a bad idea, though, to buy low on a team. That's not ever a bad idea. When everybody says they're bad, they're probably better than everybody says. When you said a bad team that could be good, do the Cowboys count?
I don't know. What are we doing with the Cowboys? They've come up just sort of in passing as we've been talking about the league and just other points and like what teams are contenders. I mean, they were in the news this week with the big trade they made to acquire Pickens. And yeah, I think in even talking about that trade, Sam, I said, that's a trade you make if you're a Super Bowl contender, right? You're going to rent him and see how it goes. You don't mind giving up the asset to make it happen because you're in a window here where you're trying to win now. And that's what the Cowboys have been here for the last few years, right? I mean, they haven't come through, but the talent on offense has mostly been there. So I don't know what to do with them.
I don't like the Cowboys. Actually, I kind of hate their guts, but I don't bet with my heart. I bet with the math. And they were decimated by injuries last year on defense. DeMarcus Lawrence got hurt right away. Parsons was in and out of the lineup. When he came back, he wasn't the same. They had a bunch of injuries on D.
And Prescott.
And of course, Dak gets hurt, right. So here's what I was going to say. Their win total 7.5. That seems too low. They're 2-1 to make the playoffs. I don't want to get crazy and say NFC or Super Bowl because I don't believe in that. Mm-hmm. But if they're healthy, they can win 10, 11 games. The reason the number is low, 2 reasons. Number one, the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, and everybody now thinks they're going to go back-to-back, which is very, very hard to do, as you guys know. And number 2, the team formerly known as the football team is everybody's sexy darling now. Right. Everybody loves Washington and Jaden Daniels. So you have the Super Bowl hype from the Eagles, and you have this Commanders hype with Jaden Daniels, who's a really good quarterback. People are betting those 2 teams and not betting the Cowboys, which in turn provides a little value. I think 7.5 over is a really good bet on Dallas.
The Bills, by the way, at BetMGM have the shortest to make the playoffs odds in the league. Minus 650 today is that number to make the playoffs. Kansas City's minus 400. Very different. That's the division. I'm not sure the schedule beyond that would matter here, but just a tougher division.
I told you guys months ago, and Mike, you and I were going round and round about this. I think they have the easiest path to the playoffs in the league.
Yep.
The division, even if New England's better, which they should be under Vrabel, there's nobody, barring health and barring an injury to a name we will not name again, they're not losing the division. They are the Patriots of the last 25 years. That's the stranglehold they have right now in the East.
Good luck with the turkey, Sam.
Thank you, guys.
Talk to you next week. Sam Paniotovich from Bet Sweats, mornings on the Odyssey app. For all your betting needs, check out the BetMGM network. Insider calls presented by BetMGM. You mixed up the order on that one.
Get any turkeys on the island?
Yeah. Once in a while you see them. You stop and wait for them to cross the road.
We've had them in our neighborhood. Every now and then. There's a rail corridor real close to where I live, and deer and other wildlife sort of come up through yards through the railroad track. I think that's how it happens, although, the park and the cemetery are a mile and a half away too, so that's close enough. But
right now what I have near me is a lot of geese that wander up and down the street.
Oh, that's really pleasant.
50 to 100 at a time. And if they're on, we don't have a lot of road traffic, so often I'll be on my way home and get about a mile from home, and there'll be 10 geese in the road. Just got to wait it out. Throw the hazards on, because nobody's expecting a stopped car and you can't see what's in front of me.
Yeah. Oof.
But lots of geese. We will talk to Sal coming up at 4. Rookie minicamp underway with the Bills. And that coverage of rookie minicamp on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. Welcome back. Bulldog, do you have the Sabres report up that you just told me about?
Yes, I do, Mike. David Pagnotta from the fourth period says the Sabres, he heard Sabres approached both Lou Lamoriello and Ken Holland, but neither seemed interested in an advisory role.
Well, it's not surprising to hear that.
No.
It's more surprising to hear that they were approached.
Yes.
Than that they wouldn't want to do it.
I agree.
That's the report.
Yeah.
Neither seemed interested.
I mean, that could change.
What seemed as opposed to was?
Yeah.
Who's telling this reporter that they didn't seem interested? I don't know.
I think seemed interested is just a polite way to say that, that no chance in hell. But
okay. That's probably a little bit more polite. That's okay.
That might just be me. But yeah, I would not expect the way that job was laid out by Elliot Friedman, reporting to Kevin Adams. There's not. I can't imagine somebody who's accomplished what either of those guys. Say what you will about whatever age they are, where they are on their own career timelines. I mean, they've had wildly successful careers. It may be a while ago now, but still, I just would never have expected either of those guys to go, "Oh yeah, no, I'll come in and hold Kevin's hand."
Because it's just such a lift. I mean, if you're going at Lamoriello's age, you go to a team where you could maybe just sort of latch on to a winner and be useful.
Right.
But not this. I mean, this is a commitment.
Try to help keep the train on the tracks, not like build the railroad.
And you don't even get final say.
Right.
In this, as the Sabres thing is laid out.
So why would you want to put your name on
Why would you want to do that?
Yep.
Sal Capaccio after the break. This is WGR.
Rookie minicamp is underway for the Buffalo Bills. It's going to run through tomorrow, and coverage of Bills rookie minicamp on WGR is presented by Fiegel Car & Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation. The perfect fit for your home and wallet. Before they got on the field, the Bills did announce all but 3 draft picks have signed their 4-year rookie deals. Max Hairston, TJ Sanders, and Deion Walker are the only ones left to sign those 4-year deals. And they also, the team, announced the undrafted free agent class for this year. It is 12 players. We'll get more on today as Sal Capaccio joins the show next. 2 games for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Game 3 of Toronto, Florida, down in the Sunshine State. Game time at 7. The Maple Leafs lead that series 2-0. Then at 9:30, Winnipeg hosts Dallas. Game 2. Still no Mira Heiskanen for the Stars, though they did take Game 1. Also 2 games in the NBA tonight. Game 3 of Pacers-Cavs. Indiana leads that series 2-0. A host tonight as well. But potentially some good news for Cleveland. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter all present at morning shoot-around, and all 3 are questionable. Game time at 7:30. Then at 10, it's Game 3 of Nuggets Thunder in Denver. Series all tied at 1. And the Bisons are also in action tonight. They are in Minnesota against the Saints. First pitch just after 7:30. You can listen to that game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I would bet that today, out at the stadium, rookie minicamp, day 1, is one of the happiest days of the year out there. Wouldn't you think? Like,
no expectations, really. Like, it's not a pressure cooker.
well, it's players' first day on the field in the NFL in their most of them in their lives. Like today would be, you got to be serious and everything, probably.
Yeah.
You don't even necessarily know everybody yet. You're just sort of like experiencing the NFL kind of for the first time. I think that would be pretty great. I think I'd like it for one day. Sal Capaccio with us on the Western Hotline. And it would go terribly for me and I'd be out of there. Sal, what do you think of this theory of mine?
I don't even remember kind of what you just said there because you were talking about rookie minicamp on a day like today. What was it? I was sorry. I was reading something as you were talking. My fault. I apologize.
I said it would maybe be one of the happiest days of the year out there as young players get on the field for the first time.
Sorry. So happy for whom? For them? Sure.
For the players.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for them, sure. Sorry, that's why. Absolutely. It's a chance for them to have a uniform, a NFL jersey, an NFL helmet. But listen, I mean, there's a lot of guys who aren't going to be here past this weekend that are out there. So even though they're happy, like it's going to turn pretty quickly for a lot of them.
And a lot of them would know that. That might even make it a little bit.
Most likely, yes.
Where you could have sort of be in good spirits about it because this is your one.
Yeah.
For some of those guys, this is your one weekend in the league.
But it does happen, right? I mean, this is where Joe Andreesen came from last year, right?
Yes.
So as much as the odds would be stacked against you. Just last year, a guy that fit this profile, I don't think anybody was really expecting him to make any noise, but he got there and impressed enough to get invited to come back and then ultimately ended up making the team. So, any guy that is showing up there without any kind of fanfare has at least that, hey, this team is at least open enough. If I do enough things right, maybe, I have a chance. So in that way, maybe, I don't know, that might decrease the level of happiness a little bit because you might be feeling like I got to really be good today. I got to be on it if I want to have any shot at all, even if it's unrealistic.
Yeah, totally. And listen, here's the other part about that. If they impress today in any regard, but there's no room, just make the coaches remember you that maybe down the road they can call you up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like and say, hey, you came in, you learned our playbook for a weekend. We really liked your attitude. Like that's a lot of what today is too. There was a guy out there today, Matt Jaworski. He's a local kid. He went to St. Francis High School. He was the Patriot League Defensive Player of the Year, actually, from Fordham. And he was on a tryout basis, but he said he had just come from the Seahawks camp as well. So a lot of these guys, that's what they're doing. They go as many of these things as they can, as long as because you only get 2 weekends. So obviously that's just this one and the Seahawks and the Bills. But the point is, like, if you can at least kind of get remembered from one of them, then you never know. That's what happened with Andreessen last year. Andreessen went to the Chiefs first, and then he came to the Bills, and he actually made the team. But there could be somebody who, you know what, we remember that guy. Let's go back and talk to him from when we had him here in May.
Forgive me now, I don't know if this was pertaining to the Bills or not, because there's so much of this sort of news making the rounds. A lot of teams are doing this. But I read today that there was a quarterback that was supposed to do what you just said. He was somewhere else and was coming to another team this week, but was in Green Bay last week and did so well that they're going to sign him. So he's not coming to this other team's, rookie camp.
They're not letting him out of the building?
They're not letting him out of the building, right. I don't think it was the Bills, but it was some other team.
It could be Taylor Elgersma. He is a Canadian quarterback who the Packers are signing.
Okay,
that could be the guy you're talking about.
I think that is the guy, yes.
Yep.
So they had to pivot and find a different guy to bring in as a quarterback.
I didn't know you could go to more than one. They're not under contract.
Right.
So
correct.
Would they probably sign a waiver or something in case there's an injury?
Well, Mike, I mean, actually, Max Harrison isn't under contract. He's out there. What happens is these guys, they actually they're not waivers. Now, the guys on tryout basis, I'm not sure like how it works for them, but the drafted guys or that have not signed their contracts, they have insurance policies through times like this. And if they get hurt, that has happened before. I think Dante Fowler, remember that years ago with the Jags? Like the teams, they still give them their contract from where they were drafted, basically, because you're slotted, and they do that. So I don't know if the tryout players would have some sort of insurance. I think they would want to get on that. But I don't know if there's a waiver or anything like that, because, you're right. You're kind of taking a risk there, I guess.
So what stood out today to you? Hairston would be the guy that you would have the most attention on, I think. He's the most prominent first pick and has a role kind of waiting for him. So we're not going to find out if he's going to win that job based on what happens this weekend. But you can eyeball him for the first time and get a look at how he moves around and how he interacts. And how did that go? What did you observe today?
Yeah, I tweeted some video, and I think a lot of people are seeing what I saw on the video, which is his change of direction, the way he can flip his hips. Like, he's just an elite athlete. You can tell that. Sometimes you go out there and you see that from these guys, and I kind of saw that from him today, which is when he was doing some drills, just some positional work now. You're moving back and forth. You're moving laterally. You're changing directions. You're sprinting. You're stopping, all that kind of stuff. He just looked different than a lot of the other guys. And you could see how smooth he was when he flips his hips, he flips his shoulders, he's going in one direction, spins around, and goes so quickly without a hitch. That's something I noticed right away. I tweeted out some video. I showed that. In the video, he's next to Jordan Hancock, a fellow draft pick, obviously, who's a defensive back. And actually, if you watch Jordan Hancock, he does very well. But you can see that Max Harrison is still kind of at a little bit of a different pace, right? But I think it's unfair to Jordan Hancock because he's next to Max Harrison, if that makes sense, in this particular clip that I put out there, because people were commenting about, oh man, he makes 37 look so slow. He's not. Jordan Hancock looked fine, but because actually there's another, the second video I posted, you could actually make the argument Jordan Hancock, like he was even a little bit more smooth in a couple of little different spots, but it's just funny to watch that. So that's what I took away from him, from Max Harrison, just kind of on the hoof, just watching him, just the elite athletic traits. There's a fastest guy, at the combine, sub 4.3 speed, and you can kind of see where that comes from just from his movements.
Seems like the guy has a nice personality too. I think he's going to be fun for you guys, Hairston.
I think so too. Caught up with him after he did media. I was over talking with a bunch of players. Paul was at the podium, but after he was done, I caught up with him and I told him I have a son named Max. Call him Mad Max. He thought that was cool, laughing. He was very, very engaging. He seemed like he was a great personality when we had him on the Zoom call. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a guy that seems like we'll be able to. He'll be very approachable.
You put a tweet out recently for the Extra Point show, like handicapping starting corner week 1 with Hairston and Trey White and a couple of others. How do you see that, and what kind of feedback did you get?
Yeah, interesting. So the way I put it out there, what I said was, if you had 100 shares of stock of equal value and you had to place him on who's going to be the starting corner opposite Christian Benford week 1, how much are you putting on Hairston, Tre'Davious White, Dane Jackson, Jamarcus Ingram, or other would be the fifth choice. And Harrison, I would say, was overwhelmingly the favorite, but there were quite a few people who gave it to Trey, who would put more on Trey White than Max Hairston. I didn't see as much for Dane Jackson, a little bit here or there, but it seems like that's going to be where people are focused. And I don't disagree with that necessarily. I think it's probably between those two. I think Max Harrison's going to get as much runway as possible to win this job. Tre'Davious White is still a guy that you can play, and at least I think they think he can play still, right? I mean, the injury and all that aside, they brought him here and they paid him a little bit of money because they want him on the roster and they can turn to him if they need to. But I think the plan is going to be like we're going to see if this kid can do it. If Max Harrison can win this job, he's going to play. So, if I sat here now, obviously I couldn't tell you that. But if I gave you stock on who's going to get the opportunity, I think Max Harrison would clearly be number one.
60-30-10.
Okay.
Would be my breakdown. Hairston, White, Jackson. I might even go 70-20-10.
Ooh, okay. I don't know if I would go that high. I think 60 might be. In fact, I might even go a little less. I think there could be more of a battle there. I just think about how, Max Harrison is much of the elite traits we just talked about. Trey White knows the system. He's been here. And, if he can show up and be even any semblance of what he was, pre-injury, and I know that might be a long shot. I get it. If that is the case, I think Max Harrison has a fight on his hands.
Okay. I was wondering, I should have got this in earlier before we started talking about players, and Harrison in particular. Who qualifies for this? Like you mentioned the tryout guys already, of course, the draft picks, the UDFAs, but there are, like Frank Gore Jr., there are players who were around last year that are on the roster today.
Yeah, there was 4 guys on today's roster, that on today's rookie minicamp roster that were on the team last year. Running back Frank Gore Jr., offensive lineman Mike Edwards, not to be confused with safety Mike Edwards, defensive backs Daquan Hardy, who you remember from the punt return battle last year, and Corey Couch. These are first-year players, they call them, who really didn't play at all last year. So even though they're not technically rookies, the NFL has a term called a first-year player, which isn't a rookie. It's actually a guy in his second year. But for purposes of him actually getting accredited seasons, he's still considered a first-year player. So that's what those guys are. Somebody asked me about Travis Clayton. I'm not sure why he wouldn't be, but he wasn't there today. Travis Clayton was another rookie last year who was on the practice squad, international player. So, there could be some designation there, or it could just be because they felt they had enough offensive linemen or something like that. I'm not sure. But basically that's who qualifies, Mike, and there are guys who are not on an NFL team that you could invite to the camp that have been veterans, maybe to come in. That's happened before. I don't have a specific example for you here this right now, but I do remember in the past there might be a guy. In fact, how about this? There's another guy. There is a guy named Marcus Harris. He was actually drafted in the 7th round last year by the Houston Texans, and he was a draft pick, and he didn't make it. Then he went into the Patriots practice squad, so he was in the same boat, and he's on the Bills, even though he's from another team. So those kind of players. I think there have been other guys before who've showed up to these things who have a little bit of time because they're kind of a veteran that isn't on a team.
And they are working with the full complement of, like, all the coaches are there, right, for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this stuff falls under phase 3, which is basically you can run plays, offense against defense, 11 on 11, 7 on 7. There's no hitting. There's no helmets and hitting or anything like that. But they were running offensive plays today against defenders.
What might coaches be looking for? I mean, it is like you're getting acclimated here, and coaches would have seen lots of film on whoever is in their particular position group. But without hitting, with it being so relatively maybe lacking for like structure, what is a coach trying to spot?
Is this a good time for me to say that everybody should listen to the latest It's Always Game Day in Buffalo with Matt Bove and I talking to Sean McDermott, because we asked him this exact question.
All right, what
are
did he tell you?
for?
No, you're going to think that I stole it.
Yeah, that's okay. It's good. I think you teed me up, Mike. It's all good to promo that because it was a great conversation. But Matt asked Sean McDermott this exact question. I was kind of a bit surprised. I thought Sean would say, like, hey, how they're interacting with their teammates. Are they coachable? His answer actually was, for Sean, he said he's kind of looking at the body type, how they fit in, what they can do with their body. You're trying to get a sense of each individual a little bit more than even, like, yeah, the team stuff matters, but you got to have a plan for these guys, right? If you see at rookie minicamp, okay, Landon Jackson's this really long guy who can do this or that with his hands. That's a good sign for us to do this. But what if he can't do this? Then maybe we need to have a plan for him as we go forward once he gets in with the rest of the veterans to kind of move that around. So he said he's looking for those kinds of things, looking for the body type, the traits that kind of go along with it, and to kind of look at each individual and kind of what they're doing and what they're suited for.
I did watch a good chunk of this conversation you had that you're referring to from your It's Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast. I didn't make it to the question about minicamp and what they're looking for, but the front end of that, talking about the media and your jobs and just McDermott's experience and how he's evolved. It sort of reminded me of a talk we had an opportunity to have with him last summer before the heat of the season was really on, and it was really enjoyable. This was 10 times longer than what Mike and I had with him, and I thought you guys both did a really nice job with that.
I appreciate it, and I'll tell you, the background is we were hoping to talk to Sean during the owners' meetings to do this podcast. We had set it up with the Bills, and we were going to do have Sean McDermott on the Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast. We were ready to rock and roll. Well, because of just scheduling and how things turned out and Sean being on the competition committee and all of that, we just weren't able to do it. So, walk away from the owners' meetings. Okay, well, we still got stuff from him, but we didn't have him on the podcast. And I'll actually credit, Bill's PR director, Derek Boyko. He reached out to Matt and I recently and said, hey, we'd still love to do this. Sean will sit down with you guys. Like, when do you want to do it? So we did it this week. And I'm going to tell you, I'm so glad that we didn't do it at the owners' meetings, but we did do it now. If we would have done it at the owners' meetings, it would have been your normal, what do you think about the roster here? What do you think about this guy and that guy? What are you looking at in the draft?
Yeah.
This was not it. That's all done. What we did was we talked very little football. We dove in just to Sean's philosophies and life and his pursuit of a championship. And there was a lot of really, really interesting stuff in there. Great feedback we're getting from a lot of people. I appreciate it. We tweeted out a clip yesterday. Sean told a really interesting story.
This story
about how he
blew my mind. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. He was at a little league field. He said a ball field. His son and daughter both play softball and baseball. And he said he was at a field, and a gentleman came up to him, and he's sitting in the outfield watching the game. Introduced himself. Hi. They exchanged cordials, and then the guy said, hey, I want to thank you for what you've done here with you and Brandon Bean, the organization. I was losing hope as a Bills fan. And Sean said, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And then he said, the guy said to him, I get this feeling that, the Bills are okay being number 2. And Sean, you could see, if you watch the clip, even relaying the story, you could see that pained him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say it angered him, right? It pained him.
Yep.
And he then said that he told the guy, he said, well, that's not, he said, then you don't know me and you don't know this team. That is the furthest thing from who we are, being okay with being number 2. Then he on the heels of this, he also told us how he has this vision, right? He envisions what it could be like someday winning a world championship and what the scene is like on the field. And he's always thought about maybe even just walking away and not just because this is it. This is what we're all about. And, it's not about the interviews. It's about holding the trophy up for everybody. And then he relayed that to this story with this guy and said, and I'm sitting there thinking he's going to tell me how this guy's mad. Now that quote is a bit angry, but what he said was interesting. At the end, he goes, I want to win it for that guy so I can give him and show him you're not number 2 anymore. This is what we're about being number 1. I thought it was fascinating. You know what I mean? I thought it was really cool.
What kind of blew my mind about it, not that people are shy all the time about telling you how they really feel, but I'm stunned the guy said that to McDermott, to his face. It's one thing to call us and say, I think this organization's happy being number 2. It's another thing to run into the coach in person in the outfield of a Little League game and lay that on him. Not that, I don't know how, what sort of temperament the person had presenting this to McDermott, but it just surprised me that someone would directly say that, because I feel like I can always tell, and you guys probably have your own similar experiences, a certain approach. I feel like I know this person wants to tell me they don't like something about you or somebody, but they don't have the guts to spit it out. And they're just sort of stammering around and all right, well, nice meeting you. to just come out and tell the head coach of the Bills, you strike me as being satisfied being second place. I mean, that's pretty ballsy.
Yeah,
it's worse than that.
I agree with you. I agree with you for sure. No doubt about it. There were a lot of things like that. I mean, I know Sean pretty well. I think I would say as a reporter can know a head coach in the NFL. I think I know Sean really well, and there were a lot of things I learned about him that I did not know in this conversation about. I did not realize how big of a dance family, like how much of they dance. He actually is. He said he brings 2 shirts to a wedding sometimes. I'm not kidding you. Like what? Sean McDermott.
You guys are cut from the same cloth,
right?
You can tear it up out there, Sal Capaccio.
But he did say don't invite me to the wedding. But we love to dance, and he talked about playing instruments. He's learned to play the guitar. He's learned to play acoustic guitar right now, and he does have experience playing the drums. Like these are all little things that I had no idea. And I think though there's the micro here to get into and talk about that, but the macro of just him being this open book that he's been more of over the last year or so, I just think is really awesome, and it really gives people a glimpse into who he is.
While you've been talking, I'm just sort of making plans to get him on ADP chasing so we can discuss Keon Coleman's fantasy draft status for this year. It should be pretty good.
Well, I'll have to extend an invite to the attic if he wants to see
attic.
some guitars.
Yeah, for sure. He might do that.
Sal, one more. There was a report yesterday from Arif Hassan that he's got the Vikings playing back-to-back games in Europe. Pittsburgh and Cleveland, Dublin and I guess London. And I thought, is that, how good of an idea is that? And I think it's good. The pro of it, I guess, for Minnesota would be that they don't have to travel to those 2 cities. They're not playing 2 literal road games, but they're in Europe for 2 weeks. And, maybe that's even an advantage, too, like the Bills had to play Jacksonville when they had already been there for a week. So could you see that? That would end the Bills-Steelers speculation if it were correct.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Just judging how the NFL does things and has been doing things. The Jags obviously have gone over to London now for 2 straight weeks, and we know the NFL is starting to tinker with that. They want to start doing this with teams. They want to start having more teams have, 2 games over there, or 1 game here and another game internationally. And this Mike North told us this a couple of years ago they might start doing this because, let's be honest, guys, eventually teams are going to be going over there a lot more often, whether that's in London or anywhere else over there. And this makes sense. They would do something like this. The other part of it is the opponent. When you sort through it, apparently the Steelers do have the ability maybe to protect a game, and if they did that, they would protect the Packers, right? So maybe they say that. We've all heard rumblings about the Bills, but as I've told you, from the way I understand it, the league probably doesn't want to put Josh Allen, MVP, over at 9:30 a.m. on a Sunday against a name brand, but they could do that. Vikings and Seahawks are the 2 teams that it kind of gets narrowed to when you talk about eliminating Packers and Bills, eliminating all your AFC North opponents from that. Now you're left with Vikings and Seahawks. Vikings make sense. They also have to play the Jags, right? Would be in London, I think, Mike. I think to play the Jags, whoever it would be over there, Jets or Browns, one or the other.
It would be Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland, thank you. I'm sorry. So it would make sense that the Vikings could be that team. But I think from an overall league perspective, this is where we're going. Teams are going to be going internationally more often. There's more international games every year. And they have specifically said they're going to start doing this kind of as test runs, I guess, with some teams like the Jags have been.
The only other team scheduled in Europe, if Cleveland and Pittsburgh are taken, so to speak, that the Bills play is Miami. Or the Jets, I guess. The Jets. That's also, they're also over there. Is it to be ruled out? Would the Bills be considered for those games, or are you assuming, or even know that they won't be?
Not ruled out. Asked Mike North specifically. He said not ruled out. You could do a division game. The Jags have played 2 division games in London. They played the Colts once. They played the Texans once. It's just something that I don't see happening. It's something I think the league kind of shies away from.
Okay.
Maybe Jacksonville's a different case because of Jacksonville having their series there all the time and every year going over there. I mean, the Bills did play 2 division games in Toronto when they did that. So maybe when you have a team that's always going to one spot, that kind of opens that door a little more.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rule it out completely, but I would assume it's not going to happen.
What did you have today from Pat Hammer that Josh is going to be on the Today Show? Is that Monday?
Okay, so just an update on this. I'm glad you asked me, okay? Because earlier today, Pat Hammer, our buddy Pat Hammer, WGR TV, NBC, texted me and said, hey, the Today Show just teased that Josh Allen's coming on Monday. Now, we know next week, Today Show, Good Morning America, the CBS Morning Show, they're all going to be having these reveals. This is what happens every year. So now you get to, okay, Josh on NBC? What is that? Is that week one Sunday
night? Yep, right.
Now I will tell you, since then, I have been told it is not certain Josh is going on NBC Sunday. So they did mention it. That did happen today, but that might not happen. So I'm not really sure where all that goes, but just because of scheduling and things like that, with Josh Allen himself, it's not certain he's going to be on. So I'm not really sure where that goes.
I really wanted that to be certain.
I am gonna ignore Sal and say that it is.
I'm gonna treat it like it
because they wouldn't want. We just gave it away. We just gave it away. We will see. All right. Have a nice weekend.
You got it, guys.
That's our Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. His appearances are always brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? I also saw, it's not as fun as Monday because Wednesday is the actual show, that Deion Dawkins is going to be a part of the NFL Network show. They had some special guests lined up. Jim Nance is one of them, and Deion Dawkins was on that list too. But that's not like ahead of time. It's more like, you look at the cool schedule the Bills got. Here's Deion Dawkins.
I've never watched it. For as much as I love the schedule,
right,
by the time we get out of here, we know it.
Right.
And I've never watched the schedule show.
I usually just wait
Twitter.
to see it updated on Twitter to make sure it matches what we were talking about when we left at 7. Like that's just how it goes.
And then, in the good old days when you could get on Underdog in New York State, you jump on and draft Best Ball Mania teams now that you know the bye weeks. You try to get ahead of everybody else, matchups, Week 17 matchups, all that good stuff. But, now we're going to have to cross the border to do that into Pennsylvania. That Allen thing, you're not going to have Josh Allen on the Today Show Monday morning and announce Detroit, Chicago.
Right, exactly.
803-0550, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Day one of rookie minicamp is in the books for the Buffalo Bills. Tomorrow will be their last day on the field, and coverage of Bills rookie minicamp on WGR is presented by Fiegel, Carr & Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. Before the Bills got on the field today, the team did announce all but 3 draft picks have signed their 4-year rookie deals. Max Hairston, TJ Sanders, and Deion Walker are the only ones left to sign their deals. And the Bills did also announce the team's undrafted free agent class, which has 12 players. But speaking of rookie minicamps, Bengals first-round pick Shamar Stewart has not also signed his 4-year deal, but he is not participating in any of the on-field work. This comes even with the standard injury waivers for rookies. 2 games for the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. Game 3 of Toronto and Florida down in the Sunshine State. Game time at 7. Maple Leafs lead that series 2-0. Then at 9:30, Winnipeg hosts Dallas for Game 2. Still no Miro Heiskanen, but the Stars did take Game 1. And 2 games in the NBA tonight. Game 3 of Pacers-Cavs. Indiana leads 2-0. They host tonight as well, but potentially good news for Cleveland. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter were all present at morning shoot-around. All 3 are questionable, with game time at 7:30. Then at 10, Game 3 of Nuggets-Thunder in Denver. Series all tied up at 1 game apiece. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Oh, yeah, playing in the SEC, I definitely feel like it got me, prepared to the best of my ability to play where I'm at now. Just going against guys, I think this year the SEC led the NFL in draft picks again. So, just knowing that's a whole bunch of guys that I played against over the years, good company.
Bills' second-round pick, TJ Sanders, out of South Carolina. The Bills' first 4 picks were all SEC players, I think. 2 from Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Assuming this is still the SEC. I know that guy I can trust.
You've got it. Arkansas is also still in the SEC, yes.
And UConn is not yet in the SEC?
Not yet.
They drafted a player from UConn.
That's pending.
They're waiting for someone to, leave. They're on the priority list.
Right. Stand by to fly in the SEC.
Can I just say, I'm just going to butt in with this again. You're not a season ticket holder anymore in life. You're a season ticket member. You're not a season ticket holder. Look at the billboards. Look at your email. They don't call you season ticket holder because some marketing guru decided they're really not holding you. We hold the tickets. You get to use them. They're ours, not really yours. So it's not like you own them. We have to change the language. You don't own the season tickets. We do. So you're a member. And to me, similarly, you don't have a waiting list anymore. The Bills have an ad running on the station for the priority list. You don't sign up for the waiting list.
Right.
You sign up for the priority list.
Hey, Mike, what's the priority list?
It's a waiting list.
Thank you. That's what I thought.
It's, you, person that does not have tickets and are making a deposit anyway, are our priority. You're not waiting. It may feel like waiting because you're on a list and you're waiting to hear if you get tickets, but you're not. We have to make sure we change that too. It's too flammable.
That could happen as soon as next year or the year after or even in 5 years, all of which would require waiting.
We can't call it a waiting list anymore because we want you to feel a little bit better, even though it's the same thing.
Well, that's what member is all about too. You're a member. You're like you've bought. I'm a member. What things are you members of? I'm a member of at a country club. I'm a member of the PTA. So I'm a member. I'm a member of the Bills.
Yeah, I mean that's right. A lot of thought went into this.
Yeah.
These are the things in life that I kind of hate more than anything else.
When I first noticed this kind of thing was after some years went by where I didn't travel to baseball games or try to buy baseball tickets. And enough time had passed, 10 years, 15 years maybe. God, I don't know if I ever went that long without going to a ball game, but it's possible. Marriage and getting kids and everything, it had been a while. It's like, we're going to be in Cleveland for a weekend, and let's look at the ballpark. Cleveland's home. Let's go to a baseball game. And all the sections have names that are way fancier than like bleachers or upper deck.
Yeah, no.
Or like everything is a loge box or something. Like we bought tickets in the upper deck, like the first row of the upper deck. The kids were maybe, I mean, I'm holding Leo as a baby, so they're 3 and not even 1 maybe, or 2.5 and whatever. It's like Leo's an infant. And
Leo the Pope.
Leo the Pope, right. His friends used to call him Leo the Pope in middle school. So I'm looking at, loge box. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'm thinking there's going to be, last time I had box seats was at Fenway Park, and there was like a cubicle around your seats, right? Like I'm in a box. These 4 seats are my box.
I love that about Fenway.
Yeah, I love that too. So I'm thinking like, that's one of these deals? No, it's just an upper deck seat.
It's a seat.
There's no railing. There's no box. There's no cordoned off. There's nothing. And the kids are so little, and we're in Kirsten's like, we cannot sit here. Like I'm
too close to the edge.
We have a baby.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? I'm like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be different. I'm sorry. It was great. Cleveland, they were great. They were the Indians then. They were fantastic. We went and explained, and they put us in seats on the main, the first level that were, not as unobstructed. I mean, there were more people in front of us than there would have been if we were sitting in the front row of the upper deck, but it was much safer and very comfortable, and they were very accommodating. But the thing that tripped me up was thinking it was going to be more than just 4 seats in a row, which is all it was. But it had some stupid flowery name that made me think I was buying something a little more comfortable or something.
And as you would say, of course, all of that was intentional.
Yes.
By the team to deceive you.
Yes, exactly. And that's everywhere now. Like
that is everywhere now.
Every seat has like a different sort of designation that makes it sound like more than what it is, which is probably just a hard-ass plastic seat in a row of 1,000 of them.
Okay,
thanks.
This I could take all day. I could go all day. Even our radio ads where they speed up the small print part or put it first before we even know what the commercial is for yet.
Yeah.
Just wrong. Brandon is next. Hi, Brandon.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you buy a house, or land, you think you own it, but in reality you don't. The town owns it. If you stop paying the taxes on it, they're going to take it back. You don't really own it.
You're a member of your own house.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, and the taxes never stop. You may pay off your house, but you're still going to have to pay your taxes. That's how that works.
I'm a member.
Pretty sure.
I'm not even sure I'm a member at my own house anymore. I'm kind of a guest, I think.
Wow.
Sometimes it feels like that. Baseball. Are you following the drama around Rafael Devers?
Yes, absolutely am.
How about this guy?
I was, pretty sympathetic about the move from third base to DH, which he, beefed about in the, before the season started at spring training. But the stance he's on now, he didn't want to not play the field. He's a terrible one of the worst defensive third basemen in the league.
Yes.
He's a great player, like MVP level almost player, right? Mm-hmm. But defensively not good. So they sign a much better player to play third base, who was also a very good player, Bregman. And so now they're going to displace Devers and make him a DH, and he's complaining about it. And eventually, I'll team guy, whatever, I'll do it. Now they lose, you mentioned it the other day, right? Cassis, the first baseman, goes down. And there's word that they want to move Devers to first base, and he's balking at that. And exaggerating to such an extent. Like, they want me to play every position? Like, he mentions left field or something if somebody else gets hurt. And, they're going back on their word.
Right. They told me to put my glove away, so I did.
Like, dude, they're paying you $380 million over 10 years here, and the first baseman got hurt. They want you to go play first base. Like, yeah, they changed their mind because the first baseman got hurt. What are you doing? I mean, I don't know. He's talking like, I'm not worried. My relationship with the guys in the clubhouse is great, and, I'm not worried about anything. And, I'm just I don't follow it as closely as I used to. I think maybe this guy has a lack of awareness problem because I don't know. The team wants to win, and if their best bet is to move, go play first base. Like there was a time 20 years ago when I thought I could get through an inning unscathed playing first base.
Oh, that's the position you want.
Yeah, like it's first base.
Yeah.
Like I know there's intricacies of footwork and all that. Just give him some time to ramp up.
Plus, you get to talk to players on the other team.
Right. I don't know that their plan was to just throw him in there. I would think you'd give him a week or two to work on it, on game days or whatever, on off days. And he just comes off like an entitled baby, this guy, to me.
Sure. Easily.
Oh, no, my teammates are fine. You want to check.
Yeah, that might not be so true anymore.
Because, like I said, I sort of understood him feeling a little, chafed. He signed a big contract. He thinks he's the third baseman for the Red Sox for life. And, a few months later or a year later, it's, we got a better guy. Get out of here. You're going to be our DH now. So he's a little burned, but eventually he comes around. But now this whole thing, I don't know, man. That's just not
Maybe I'm
not great.
too old-fashioned to think that the decision of where you play is the team's decision to make, not yours. But I recognize how sports times have changed when it comes to sports, and it's not quite that simple. We'll take a break here. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at 803-0550. This is WGR. Lines are open, 803-0550. Some Sabres news today reports that they've reached out to a couple of well-known, long-time executives in the NHL, but were rebuffed, including Lou Lamoriello. And we've talked about the Bills' rookies and a little bit on the schedule. Not a lot. Tonight, I'll be dealing blackjack.
Oh, look at you.
Here I go with my casino card games again. Do you want me to explain blackjack, or do you have this one?
I think I got a pretty good handle on how blackjack works.
Last time you played?
Never.
Never?
I've never played blackjack. I've never played a card game at a casino. I it's not my thing.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
I think that's probably fair to say at this point in your life if you've never done it.
Yeah. While we were in Colorado last week at this time, it was like Sunday afternoon, I suppose, we all we really did, we went to this concert, but we had 3 days and nights there. So we just went to little old mining towns that were close by enough where we were staying. Nowhere farther than like 90 minutes from Denver, I would estimate is where we were. And one town that we kept seeing signs for that wasn't like on our radar, like it's a place that my wife had like Googled and thought like, oh, let's go to this place, was a town called Blackhawk. And we started seeing 2 miles to Blackhawk. Like, okay, we're just on the road. We'll just drive through Blackhawk. It was entirely a brand new, gigantic town that was nothing but casinos. Like Bally's. Bally's was one name I saw. I saw a few others, some Native American names. But everything in that I saw, now I did not, we just stayed on the main road driving through town, so we didn't like make a right and pull in and go see if there was some other old part of the original town. But it was like the size of a small city, but 20, 30 buildings, different, style structures, but everything had some kind of casino moniker on it. Mm-hmm. What? I meant to Google it. I never have. Like, what is the story of this town? Did it exist prior to all this, or did it just pop up and it's just like condominiums, except it's casinos?
It's on a reservation.
Yeah,
maybe
it was amazing to see that. I mean, we we didn't stop. We kept find somewhere else. Like, find some little mom and pop joint. I'm not, I don't need a steak from Bally's here for dinner. I'm all right.
I hear it's good though.
Yeah. So, now so I never played. So you're dealing. Why are you dealing blackjack tonight?
It's funny you mentioned all that because I'm dealing blackjack tonight in Blackhawk, Colorado.
Wow. I can't wait to hear how this turns out.
Yes.
What time you got to be there?
It's the Canisius post-prom party, high school. So I'm making a return, second year in a row.
Oh,
I did so well last year.
Performance here,
I guess. I was such a hit last year that they wanted me back. So I'll be up very late.
Ooh, not sure I can handle
I'm good though. I love that kind of thing. I like to play. But this is, you can't lose. Dealing.
Sure, right. Yeah.
This way you can't lose. It was a lot of fun last year.
Yeah, good. That's like for me, the times I've been invited to bartend. I like being in bars, and bartending is a good way to be in a bar and not be drinking.
Yeah.
Too much anyway, because I'm working.
Working
here.
I have some experience celebrity bartending, and the one time I did it that's the most memorable is that for a particular reason. It was a friend of mine who was the bartender at the establishment, and I was working with him. The bar seats maybe 15 people, not a big operation. And so, you kind of know everybody, and my wife was there, and our friends were there. Like, it was sort of a special night. And he, as I was getting started, he saw me touch my face at one point, just,
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, wash your hands. You can't touch your face and not wash your hands immediately. And I'd never even thought about that before. And then every time I went in there after that and saw him, I would stare at him to see if I could catch him touching his face.
And not washing his hands.
Never once.
Right.
And then I was always doing it. That night, I just caught myself. I was constantly, I touched my face. You're just like, you just do.
Right.
And he was good. Like, that's an important thing, I guess.
Yeah,
Not
sure.
every bar you're going to go to is anybody going to necessarily care about this. But I like that he did.
Yeah.
And so I really couldn't get very far off the ground that night because I was constantly washing my hands have never been cleaner than this night at celebrity bartending. So, think about it. How often you touch your face? Maybe it's like constantly. And I have a beard, so you just sort of like you just did. Didn't you did I hear you just scratch your beard?
Yes, I think I'm very self-conscious about it now that we're streaming on YouTube and Twitch, because there are things that I think I would sit here and do while we're talking that I just think, okay, don't fiddle with your eyebrows right now. The people are watching.
I know.
Right? It's like, or the beard is a big one. Yeah, like especially when it's not trimmed like it is now. It's nice and short now. When it gets longer, there's whiskers that sometimes I feel like I'm tempted to just fiddle with them, and I don't want to do that.
I think I'm often sort of scratching my ear and doing that, and if sometimes I'll think about like people are seeing me do that all the time. I don't know. Want to do some reverse AFC power rankings for this week?
I would love
get
to
near
do
the end of the week.
AFC power rankings.
We're expecting a call from Bandit star Josh Byrne also next hour. The Bandits are into the finals again, and that will start a week from tonight. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR.
Bills rookie minicamp day one is in the books. It's going to be running through Saturday, and coverage of Bills rookie minicamp on WGR is presented by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. We did hear from some of the Bills rookies following practice today, and that does include first-round pick Max Hairston, who, following on-field work, was quick to point out who impressed him today.
Dorian Strong had a really good day today. Just being somebody that, I'm taking mental reps when I watch D Strong, and hearing him go out there, play with poise, and play like he's already adjusted, that was good to see. And that's definitely somebody that, we're going to lean on each other and help each other get through this process.
Speaking of rookie minicamps, Bengals first-round pick Shamar Stewart has not signed his 4-year deal just yet and will not be participating on any on-field work until he does. This comes even with the standard injury waivers for rookies. 2 games for the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. Game 3 of Toronto, Florida. It's down in the Sunshine State tonight. Game time at 7. The Maple Leafs lead that series 2-0. Then at 9:30, Winnipeg hosts Dallas for Game 2. Still no Miro Heiskanen for the Stars, but they did take Game 1. We also have 2 games in the NBA tonight. Game 3 of Pacers-Cavs. Indiana leads that series 2-0. They host tonight, but potentially some good news for Cleveland. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter were all present at morning shoot-around, and all 3 are questionable. Game time at 7:30. Then at 10, Game 3 of Nuggets-Thunder. It's in Denver. That series is all tied at 1 apiece. And the Bisons, they are also in action tonight. They are against the Saints in Minnesota. First pitch just after 7:30, and you can listen to that game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Schopp and the Bulldog.
If you wrap foil around that, just like the little bit of the base part of the banana where the fruit is, wrap foil around that top and they will last longer.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
Who needs your bananas to last longer, though?
Look, I don't want to go to the store every other day for bananas.
They're 8 cents each.
What the hell are you talking about? What is going on?
You're going to wrap them in foil?
They're better when they're just a little green. Yeah.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Too much work.
Not that much trouble, really.
Too much work.
Says the guy that's got a spreadsheet with 3,000 fantasy teams.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Oh, speaking of spreadsheets, when I wasn't mowing the lawn or checking every NFL starting quarterback's jersey number today, I was building the official schedule spreadsheet.
Oh.
Yeah, here it is.
Oh, look at that, everybody that can see it. Those of you not equipped, sorry.
It's an Excel spreadsheet, everybody.
Yeah, you've never seen anything like it.
List the weeks, the dates, the Sundays at least, maybe a special note or two. Then it's every possible game. So you start with 17 of those. And once you know that one of these teams is unavailable, then you just delete it. So, for instance, Philadelphia will not be the Bills' Week 1 opponent.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah.
Because they're playing at home as the Super Bowl winner. And then I have the international games column, and I'm going with that report that Minnesota is going to play 2 games in a row in Europe, the Steelers, then the Browns, and those are both Bills' opponents on the road. So that would take those 2 teams out of those 2 weeks of the equation, if that's correct.
And we know the dates of those 2 already.
We do.
Okay.
Weeks 4 and 5.
All right.
The Steelers are week 4, the Browns are week 5 for their international games.
Gotcha.
And that's all good information as we embark on reverse AFC power rankings, powered by Empire Electric, your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit EmpireElectricians.com. Very likely our final pre-schedule reverse AFC power rankings. Because, it's Friday.
Wednesday, the scheduled day. We'd really be forcing it.
There'd have to be a big move.
I suppose if something incredible happens.
If there were a big move, we would, maybe do it.
Yeah.
All right. You have your list of teams?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Just so you don't forget anybody?
I am prepared. Yes.
All right. Reverse AFC power rankings. This will be self-explanatory as we go. 16.
Can we just make a special exception for this week and just have 16 be actually 32, just because I want Pittsburgh, who are just still they're just peeling off layers of clothes, trying to attract Aaron Rodgers. It's the whole thing is just ridiculous. I don't know how hard they're pining after him, but it still seems like they're waiting for him.
That seems right. They even got Cousins involved again this week. Maybe like that was their leak.
Yeah.
To put some pressure on Rodgers.
I didn't hear anything about Cousins with the Steelers this week. It's perfectly plausible that they could trade for him if they don't, get Aaron Rodgers. I suppose maybe that's their fallback because, if you don't get one aging fossil with a torn up Achilles, you might as well pivot to the other one.
Right.
Anyway, I want the Steelers first here. Or last, or how do we do this? How many years has this been? Anyway, Steelers, 16.
I want to say Browns this week, really only because, they were 7 games different in the standings last year. The Steelers won 7 more games than the Browns.
Anyone can read the standings.
That's right. I will say Cleveland here because they just never beat Pittsburgh. They're just never, at the end of the season, above or below, in this case, the Steelers. The Steelers just own the Browns. Even when they kind of stink. They're in the playoffs and Cleveland's drafting second overall. The Browns need... I might change my mind next week. Pittsburgh was 16 the last time we did this. But I do think they have some claim to be ranked as better than the Browns.
I usually am the one who makes that case because what has happened here often through the years here is that you're dinging Pittsburgh because they're just standing still and they're always the same, and I'll be like, okay, but they're always the same as 10 wins and they'll be in the playoffs. So wouldn't you rather be that than 3-14? I said that without that much hesitation that time. We're almost there. I can't wait till I get completely used to it and then they switch to 18 games.
Right. And while I can respect the trade the Browns made with Jacksonville involving Travis Hunter, the guy they got to me is just not inspiring. Graham at 5, so would have liked to see them do better. 2 quarterbacks later, 2 running backs later. It was mostly weird.
Yeah, I'll go with Cleveland here. I'll go with Cleveland.
All right. 15, Jets. What are they?
Free of Aaron Rodgers, which makes them better than the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm going Pittsburgh here. They're setting up though to have an exciting draft in which they host, but
that'll be great.
I also don't know if Rodgers actually is going to be there.
That'll eventually be reflected in the reverse AFC power rankings as we go, but that's a ways off.
What, next year's draft?
Yeah, right. I think it's almost more than 11 months away.
Yeah, I'm ready for it though. I'm ready to start talking about next year's draft. I'm ready to talk
about Drew Aller. We can start that.
14.
Who did you...
I'm on the Jets here.
The Jets. The Jets are going to be bad.
Okay.
I think the Jets are going to be bad. Yeah.
13. Tennessee.
I want to say the Colts.
Ooh.
The promo video of Richardson just throwing a screen pass.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
The Browns just did this with Sanders today at rookie minicamp.
Like a pass to the flat.
He stands in the Josh Norris is how I saw it. I don't follow the Browns team account because I'm not brain damaged.
How much of a hurry were you in to say that? I would never follow the Browns.
Right. Josh Norris, not the injured Sabre, but the football analyst.
Underdog.
He just quote tweeted it, sack. Because they tweeted S squared plus Q, it's the passes to Quinshon Judkins.
Okay.
S squared plus Q equals 6. And it's Sanders standing there for, a long enough amount of time that when I saw the tweet and Josh Norris quote tweeted it with sack, I went, yeah, he held the ball for a while there and then just threw a 3-yard pass to Judkins.
Ouch.
So S squared plus Q equals 6. They were 16, right? So they couldn't have been worse for them.
You wanted to make them worse than 16.
Yeah, I should have made the whole...
Really rub it in.
Well, if I did not connect this in this moment until now, too late, I would have made the whole speech about them being 32nd instead of the Steelers.
Yeah.
Anyways, where were we?
13.
13, okay.
Colts and Titans.
I'll say Titans. I just don't know what else is really going on there. And, I'm not sure. I mean, they got a clean slate at quarterback. I don't know. We'll see if he's any better than either of the guys the Colts have. I don't know. He's drafted first overall. You're expecting him to be better than that, but I don't know.
Over under 1.5 night games
for the Titans.
2 because of Ward.
I'm gonna go under
1.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be 0.
No, they'll get 1. You get the first overall pick, they're gonna get something. They'll get a Thursday night.
I'd bet that line.
Yeah. I don't
want to bet it?
No.
Did the Tennessee Titans get 2 night games?
No, I don't.
That's not a bet you want to make?
No, it's too rich.
Okay. 12. Colts, I'm okay with Colts here. I don't know what they're doing. None of it I like.
No, including the tweet of Anthony Richardson throwing a swing pass, which was what tripped the wire on this Browns tweet that I just mentioned.
Somebody, like these social media departments with teams, I feel like it's a situation where maybe the boss has a mandate to get a clip out, because that's what you do. And there's some very keen assistant tweeting or texting with his friends or the other assistants to say, he doesn't realize that this is actually bad for us to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get the clip out. The Colts, the Browns, it might be counterproductive to tweet the pass to the flat.
Yeah, this is not content that is going to excite the fan base. Probably.
You can only use slow-mo so much before everyone's like, come on, what are we doing?
I mean, you can't get a bomb out of Anthony Richardson in a day's practice. I mean, he's kind of been great at that. He's made some spectacular long ball throws. We can't find one.
Wouldn't you rather, if you're a Colts fan, see footage of him dropping back and launching it 70 yards and hitting a parked car than throwing a swing pass to a running back?
I think so.
I just throw it over the mountain, dude. Like that would be me. I mean,
I think they should run a thing.
If he can learn to harness that,
where somebody's driving and the car is moving and they catch it through the window.
Even better. Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Let's go. Get some creativity here. It's rookie minicamp, people. Let's dig in a little.
I don't think they want him to play.
Yeah.
11.
Who are some more teams? 11. I will say
Dolphins.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
What's got to happen there this year for it to be considered progress, growth? Like, they need playoffs and maybe a playoff win. If they go 10-7 or 9-8 and miss or lose right away,
the dude's getting fired.
It's over there. I think
he's getting fired. Yeah.
I think it's over there if they, and that's not a terrible season.
No.
10. Jacksonville.
New England.
Who would you rather be?
This really challenges I don't know how to feel about feeling good about the Jaguars.
From yesterday.
Yeah, right. I'm going to say New England.
All right. Given the choice of either team playing on Monday night, week 1, you'd rather watch Jacksonville.
Ooh. I'm more interested in New England because they're in the division, so that would tilt it. But yes, I think I'm more excited about the season Jacksonville could have than the season. I think New England's coming. It wouldn't be a shock if they won 10 games and contended for a wild card spot, but I think Jacksonville's just a step ahead.
Yesterday, by the way, we talked about a potential Jaguars-Raiders Week 1 Monday night game, which we decided would be great.
Very
Genty
interesting.
and Hunter.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And Geno Smith, Pete Carroll. 9.
Trevor Lawrence if you want him.
I don't. I left him out.
Thank you for being
I
so
don't
honest.
think Trevor Lawrence means anything.
Brutal honesty
to this.
That's what we've come to expect.
Wait, we can put Trevor Lawrence on in prime time. Oh, I didn't think about that. Let's scrap this idea. 9.
I mean, he's got the hair and everything.
This is Jacksonville for me again.
Okay, fine.
Yep. I do want that early primetime game. I need to know if Trevor Lawrence is any good. And if we have to wait for a primetime game in week 9, I'm going to forget about Jacksonville like I do every year. I need it like week 1 or week 2 to find out for sure. And Travis Hunter's fun.
I think because they made the trade for Hunter and they've got a new coach and Lawrence has had a rep, they'll be on in primetime before that. First month of the season, I think they'll get them in there somewhere.
8. Raiders. The Raiders with a bullet lately in the reverse AFC power rankings. Come on. It's 4 wins. They won 4 games. We're at 8. Right. We're at last team out.
Yeah. The fact that you got me a little excited yesterday about the skill players and the coaches and this Jacksonville primetime matchup had me reluctant to pull the trigger on the Raiders, but yeah, it's time here.
There's no one else.
No, there are other teams, but yeah, there's no way.
7.
Chargers. Okay.
Houston.
Wow.
There it is. 6 Chargers. Fine.
No. Yeah, fine. I'm sorry.
The Chargers, the Broncos, the Bengals, maybe even the Texans are just kind of in a rotation spin cycle in these things. 1 week it's this is why we like this team more. The next week it's someone else. Week after someone else.
Herbert is gonna have to have a great year at some point here, right? I'm
MVP conversation.
I'm one of the dudes.
He's had a 5,000-yard season. It's come with no wins.
Right.
It's a lot of what Burrow was last year.
My Herbert problem has been more before Harbaugh, but he just wasn't taking shots.
Doesn't let it rip.
Right.
And he's got the arm to really let it rip.
But then, last year he lost weapons, and it's Greg Roman. They got to the playoffs and got blown out by Houston. He was under assault in that game, but, at some point you just still, come on, it's tough to know because he's had, I think, some not perfect circumstances, but a guy like that you want to think will overcome. Like Allen's weapons.
Yeah, at some point you got to elevate. That's all I'm saying. At some point the yards are great, but I'm going to need you to do the thing. I mean, he just doesn't belong in the conversation. For a while there, it was look at all these quarterbacks in the AFC, and I feel like that train has left the station, and Justin Herbert did not have a ticket.
5.
He can catch a cab and get to the next station and chase the train and still get on, but he's got work to do.
Okay.
All right.
5.
We're up to 5 already. Wow.
I'll say Denver.
I won't complain about that.
Okay. 4. They are back.
The Bengals are still
Cincinnati.
on the board. The Bengals are still on the board.
They are back.
Yep.
They are the 4th team I think of, or the next team I think of in the whole conversation about the playoffs and the future. It's not Houston. It's not Denver or the Chargers. It's the Bengals. The Bengals have done it. They have won the conference with Burrow. They have won here in the playoffs with him. They are this for me. No matter what their defense is, I really don't care what their defense is that much, or whether they're going to pay guys, or just maybe there's malcontents. Those can be relevant problems, but they're that team for me. There's a big 3, and then there's Cincinnati. That's how I look at it. 3.
I think that's fair. They might be easy to forget about because they had such a bad year last year, but it's all still there, basically. I mean, the defense did lose a lot of guys, thus they were as bad as they were last year, but now they've turned that over, right? Different coordinator and everything. So we'll see if that improves, but I never thought we'd be sitting here this May talking about Burrow, Chase, and Higgins all being together still. I mean, I would have bet.
Yeah.
I would have bet more money than I should have that something was going to happen there.
Yep, it did look that way all season. 3.
Kansas City.
Look at this guy. I'll go with him on Kansas City. You're powerless. Chiefs 3.
I was staying quiet. 2.
Buffalo.
Agree. Elijah Moore? I wondered if you'd laugh there. There was no laughter. My writing is crooked today. A little bit.
Oh, no.
A little bit of a slant today.
Oh.
That's what happens when you go to the Excel spreadsheet. You're out of rhythm now.
Maybe.
What a problem.
Baltimore won again.
Aesthetically, I don't know if I can live with that. Good thing it's hanging up on your side of the room. I don't have to deal with that.
It's just a little bit of a slant. We'll make it up next week by going the other way, slanting back toward the left.
Well, good luck with that. I hope you can. That can be hard to execute.
Reverse AFC Power Rankings on WGR, powered by Empire Electric. Your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit EmpireElectricians.com. Josh Byrne coming up. Bandits in the finals again, starting next Friday. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR.
minicamp is in the books. It'll be running through Saturday, and coverage of Bills rookie minicamp on WGR is presented by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. We did hear from a number of Bills rookies today. If you missed any of that, you can find it on our website, WGR550.com, or on the Odyssey app. Playoff action tonight, 2 games for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Game 3 of Toronto, Florida. It's down in the Sunshine State. Game time at 7. The Maple Leafs do lead that series 2-0. Then at 9:30, we have Winnipeg hosting Dallas for Game 2. Still no Miro Heiskanen for the Dallas, but they did take Game 1. Also 2 games in the NBA. Game 3 of Pacers-Cavs. Indiana leads that 2-0. They host tonight as well, but potentially some good news for Cleveland. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter were all present for morning shoot-around. All 3 are questionable. Game time at 7:30. Then at 10, we have Game 3 of Nuggets and Thunder in Denver. That series is all tied at 1 game apiece. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Smith from the slot area, back over to Josh Byrne. Byrne now on the run, takes it out, he scores! Well, that's another one, how did he do it shot.
John Gertler, the Bandits do not play this weekend. They await the winner of Halifax, Saskatchewan in the finals. It'll be next weekend, or at least it'll start next Friday. I don't know the schedule, best of 3. Halifax, Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's up 1-0. In their best of 3, and Game 2 is tomorrow night. We're expecting a call from Josh Byrne. It might be happening right now. Exciting. The Bandits' popularity, I want to say, continues to grow. Not that they weren't very popular 30-plus years ago.
Right when they first started in the odd, they were doing great.
That was a big deal, and it's still very much a big deal. Josh Byrne on the West Her Hotline. Mike and Chris here. Josh, thank you for being a part of our show today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Are you in the Buffalo area right now?
Yeah. I live here full time.
Okay, good. I didn't know. So this is, in essence, I guess, an off week in terms of game play anyway, for you guys. A little bit of a break here before the finals next week. Is your body welcoming that because of how, physical and all the travel back and forth from Vancouver? How are you feeling physically?
Yeah, it's definitely nice to get a break. I think people forget too that we finished the season 10 weeks straight without a bye, as well as 2 doubleheaders in those 10 weeks. So it's 12 games in 10 weeks. So then you add the first and second round into that with no breaks as well. This bye week is definitely very, very much needed.
Is there a desired outcome in the other series, like who you would like to see more in this championship round, or do you not want to provide any bulletin board material potentially, Josh?
No, I mean, to be completely honest with you, it doesn't matter for us. You know what I mean? It's always been more about us and not as much about who we're playing. Obviously, there's little things that you have to try to exploit no matter who you're playing and game plan for. And, both teams have different strengths. So, at the end of the day, it's just focusing on us and making sure that we're healthy and we're ready to go.
We sort of alluded to it as we were introducing you here that, the history of the franchise, like it hit the ground running here back in the 90s, back in the old odd before the move across the street to the newer building. And now you've been here for some great success, but there was great success back then. I'm curious how much you could tell our audience about the reputation of the Buffalo market as a lacrosse market, given the history the franchise has had great success here. And of course, certainly lately, with 2 championships in a row and a chance for a third.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the pro lacrosse market in Buffalo is truly incredible. I think Buffalo is just a sports city as it is. Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day, if you're someone who's going to come out and, work their ass off and, do what's best for the team, and ultimately, the city's going to see that, and the city's going to see that energy, and they're going to, really just enjoy watching that. I think the city will get behind you, and it's obviously been our backbone all year with Banditland, and Banditland's been a thing for a long time, and it's cool to be a part of such great history.
With Josh Byrne, it is reminiscent of the Bills. I think what the Bandits vibe is, or the crowd, the scene with the Bandits, and how you have such a loud, loyal, supporting crowd. And the Bills, of course, the fan base has that reputation too. When you go on the road, when the Bandits play on the road, maybe I'm sure some places are more like here than others, but I wonder just how extreme or how significant maybe the home field advantage, right, that you think the team enjoys.
It's massive. At the end of the day, lacrosse is growing, all across North America. And we do go into some buildings where, they have a good fan base, but at the end of the day, nothing compares to Buffalo and Banditland. We also are super fortunate where a lot of Banditland actually travels extremely well. We've got, sometimes 300, 400, 500 fans going crazy, and sometimes, taking over other people's stadiums, especially if it's somewhere close. But even, when we were in Vegas last year, we definitely had more fans in the stands than they did, and it was basically a home game. So we're super fortunate to have, such loyal and supporting fans willing to travel, willing to support us no matter where we go. So, we're definitely thankful.
That's a Bills comp, right? The Bills go to L.A.
right,
or something like that, and you can hear the crowd.
Right. Josh,
it's awesome.
Yeah, how do you explain the sustained success here? Is it just a winning culture? I mean, obviously, like yourself, excellent players on the team. You're the defending NLL MVP as well as Finals MVP from last season. So there's obviously talent, but I'm sure there's a lot of talent in the league. But you guys have managed to rise above. Is it just like a know-how? Is there just an expectation that's maybe higher than other places because of the sustained success the team has had?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like any sport, right? If a team wants to be successful, a lot of times they have to go the distance and lose. It's a weird thought and a weird feeling to kind of get behind, or they have to have gone through some heartbreak, and the core of that team has to go through a little bit of heartbreak, and we did that. We've been through 2 championships in a row where we've lost.
Yep.
And other guys that were part of 2016 team where they lost to SAS. So, I think ultimately, the losses stimulate that motivation, and the understanding of what it takes to win. You see it across all sports. When playoffs come around, all of a sudden those whistles start going away, right? They let men be men, and they let guys play, and your first couple times when you get deep into the playoffs, you're like, what's going on here? Like, this is ridiculous.
Right.
And then you start to learn from it, and then you expect it, and then you're the one setting the standard. So, I think it's kind of sad to say, but ultimately, success stems from heartbreak, and we've had a lot of that. So, we're just using those losses as fuel.
Maybe this just goes without saying too, but as a native and having worked here for so long, talking about sports with fans for many years, it's interesting this moment with the Bandits, and I think I'd have to say that it might couple somewhat with the Sabres' struggles. But my son plays high school lacrosse at Canisius, and we drive from Grand Island to West Seneca for his games. And the last time I did that, I saw you and Dane Smith on 3 billboards on that trip down 190 toward Stransky. So this really is, I think, a moment where you guys have, I'm not asking you anything here, I guess, but you guys have become household names in Buffalo, and it's a function of your success, and it's been 7-8 years. I've seen you coach kids, you and Dane Smith coaching down at Classic Rink in East Aurora. So I guess that's obviously something important to you guys too, continuing ways of really becoming such a strong part of the community.
Yeah, and I think you honestly nailed it, right? Like, at the end of the day, both Dane and I have moved here. We have a good group of guys that have moved here and live here full time. And we've been received so well from Buffalo. that, we just want to give back to community. And, Dan and I have started our own, lacrosse teams and leagues, and have tried our best to give back to community in any way that we can. And I think ultimately this city is just full of hardworking, loyal, genuine people. And when they see, other athletes that are willing to, kind of march alongside them, they take them in under their wing. And, that's kind of, the DNA of this city. And, we just want to give back any way that we can.
Josh, how about the sport overall? With the emergence of the PLL here in the last few years, do you feel like the sport is cresting? Is it still rising? Like where bigger and better? Like what do you think the future holds for lacrosse, if it's something you've ever given much thought to?
I think it's on the way up, right? And and at the end of the day, like all sports, it starts at the youth levels, at the grassroots levels, and it's being able to get sticks in the hands of younger kids. A lot of kids don't have the opportunity to even play lacrosse or even know what it is. It's different when you can go to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy a basketball or a soccer ball, and you can have 10 guys playing and having 2 full games going with 1 or 2 balls, where
right.
You need so many more sticks to be able to play, and each person needs their own sticks, and there's a lot more that goes into it. So, that's part of why we do our best to try to grow the game as much as we can, because we do think it's such a special and awesome game that if more people had access to it, I think it would grow even more. And to be honest with you, I think Buffalo is really the blueprint, especially at the pro level, of what the games can be like, what the atmosphere, what the the entertainment is like. Anyone that goes to the Advantage game, they walk out of there being like, I want to do that again. That was awesome, right? And I think in other cities, if more and more people kind of catch on, and more fan bases catch on to how we do things in Bandit Land, it gets addicting and people love it, and ultimately that's where the sport's going to grow the most.
You do need a lot of balls for these games. Like the one basketball point, my son goes outside. I buy him a bag of lacrosse balls. He's good. He's a shooter, but they're gone in a week. So then we bought a bit, because he's not going to just aim for the middle of the net, right? You can't get better.
Yeah, exactly.
So we bought a bigger net to go to hang behind the net,
right.
And then it was like a month, and then we're out again. So we bought a third net to go behind the bigger net, and hopefully, we've got it now.
Yeah, exactly. And then, and on top of that, the balls get a little bit greasy sometimes if they're, outside for too long, or if they get used up too much, and then all of a sudden it's not throwing true. Whereas, for the most part, it takes a pretty long time for a basketball to get worn down. Same thing with a football, and even a hockey puck, right? There's not really too much difference from hockey puck to hockey puck, right? So, at the end of the day, there's so many intricate things that go into the game of lacrosse, and the stringing of the sticks. Everyone's got their sticks strung differently. So there's so much that goes on, and I think that's the other part. Is like a lot of kids sometimes they'll pick up a bad stick and they'll try to throw with it, and it hooks right to the ground, and that's what's the dumb sport. Why do I want to do this? It's just frustrating. It's annoying. So the more that, we can help with that as well. Half the time when I'm coaching, I'm fixing kids' sticks, because I've been stringing sticks since I was probably 6 years old. So,
right.
It's an amazing sport, and, the more people that get behind it is great. And, Buffalo is definitely at the forefront of that.
I would say too, just as in closing, my observation on the PLL, they've had some really good ideas. Putting teams in particular markets, and the way they've grown that. They're on ESPN, so they're visible, and I'm excited about that league. Will you be back in Carolina Chaos?
I will not be this year. No, I've got to. We've been going for so long, championship to championship, and while success is great, ultimately your season gets extended longer and longer, and going back and forth in both leagues where we've been successful, in a lot of leagues, and then you also throw in, international games with Team Canada. Mm-hmm. We haven't really had much time off So I'm not going to be going back to Carolina this year. Unfortunately, I love the PLL. I love Charlotte. It's an incredible city, and definitely. I just love what they're doing with the sport, and the Ravens are doing a great job of pushing the sport to new heights. And you see the draft on ESPN and all this stuff. So it's really getting pushed into a great direction. So I'm definitely thankful for what the PLL has done for me.
Very good. And I think I maybe had forgotten when asking you that you weren't there last year. I know you were there for many years. We've seen you play. But okay. Well, Josh, thank you for today. Best of luck next weekend, and thank you on behalf of the community, if I can say that, for all the time you've put in your excellent play.
No, thank you guys. And if I could say one thing, it's just thank you to the city of Buffalo, man. We're so grateful, and we're definitely going to need the city's support for this next run. So appreciate you guys for having me on.
Okay, our pleasure. Thanks, Josh. Josh Byrne on the West Her Hotline. The Bandits' first game in the finals at home next Friday night. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. We'll be right back. This is WGR. Playoffs starting with Toronto, Florida, then Dallas, Winnipeg. It's a TNT True TV Max night. So I'm out.
Thank God for Max for me.
Max.
I'm justifying that subscription because of the hockey. It's
Okay.
really what it is. At this time last year and the year before, because the streaming that we both, I think, partake in doesn't include the TNT, TBS family of networks, I was doubling up and paying like $80 a month for YouTube TV. So at least this is cheaper than that. Like the Max subscription is not as much as that. And I'm enjoying it.
I watched a little bit of Washington last night, not much of Edmonton. Tom Wilson, what do we think? This was a guy that for a long time was pretty much hated. Is that still true? And how good a hockey player is he? The play on the second goal.
He's a very good hockey player. He's mostly, I don't want to say he's always been better than he was given credit for, because the reputation for the dirty plays sort of that was who he was. That so you say Tom Wilson, you think blindside dirty hits, and it sort of hid how good a player, how effective a player he could be. So I think he's also improved. Maybe he's worked on his skating to some extent to be able to keep up on like a more offensive line. I think he's an excellent player and extremely valuable at a time like this. I mean, because he's hockey almost requires, if you're going to go far at this time of the year, that you have guys that are willing to cross the line and your opponent knows it. Like, there's great value in that still, even as much as they've efforted to clean the game up, and as much as it frankly has cleaned up. Having a dude that is a little scary still has a lot of value, and he can play. But I think he almost always could play. It's just he got swallowed up by the reputation.
Second goal last night, they're up 1-0, power play. He's in the pivot in front of the net and gets the puck in a great shooting position and just turns and slides a pass across in front of the goalie for pretty much a tap-in. Just a great play. And the end of the game, he's in Aho's head. Like the two of them are sparring, and then the face-off happens, puck comes out, and it's Wilson who scores, I think, the empty net goal.
Yep.
So, again, 2 games tonight. We will take a break. Oh, McDavid's move on Eichel we didn't mention either.
That was pretty good.
For the game. That second between getting beat and then seeing the goal go in, that's got to be torture, where you're just hoping the goalie will bail you out. And Jack was not so lucky. We talked to Sal earlier about rookie minicamp